everyone, welcome to Ecoholics. Today we are going to learn a very nice concept which is known as Edgeworth box diagram. Edgeworth box diagram is normally used in the welfare economics when we learn the Pareto criterion. Now, Vilfredo Pareto had given this concept of optimality or social optimality, which suggested that when there's a certain position which is reached in an economy, when no one can be better off without making any other individual worse off, then that is going to be the Pareto optimal position. So now today what we are going to do is we are going to understand the Edgeworth box diagram with regards to consumption efficiency. Consumption efficiency means when in a nation there'll be a variety of goods and how goods are going to be allocated in such a way to the consumers that is going to maintain the best amount of optimal efficiencies or utilities in the consumers in the society. So today let us look at the Edgeworth box diagram. Now for that we are going to make some assumptions. The first assumption that Edgeworth box diagram has is that there are two people or two individuals in an economy. Okay, there are two individuals in an economy. Also, the second assumption is that there are two goods in an economy. Two goods or commodities in an economy. Now, let us say that these two individuals are named as A and B. Okay, and the two goods that we have is, let's say, sandwiches and we have burgers. Okay, now there are two commodities that are used in this particular nation that can be consumed by the individual A and individual B, that is sandwiches and burgers. Now let us identify what is going to be the socially optimal point at which the two goods are going to be consumed. Now, consumption is done by the help of indifference curve analysis, right? Because whenever we want to find out the utilities or satisfaction levels of any individual, then we use indifference curve analysis. So today we are going to understand the indifference curve analysis along the Edgeworth box. Now let us quickly understand this diagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take individual A's color as black and individual B's color as blue while marking the Edgeworth box diagram so that you understand what am I actually doing. We have over here the graph. Let us say I'm going to draw a graph like this, right? Now this graph represents individual A's choices. Choices between two commodities, sandwiches and burgers. Okay, so now we are going to find out what is the choices between sandwiches and burgers for individual A, and how do we find that out? By drawing the indifference curves, of course. So an indifference curve is like the combination of two goods, or we can say that indifference curve is all those points which gives the combination of two goods that an individual is going to consume, which is going to give him or her equal amount of satisfaction or utility along that particular curve, right? So this is the first individual curve, indifference curve, and then let's say this is the second indifference curve and the third indifference curve, and let's say this is the fourth indifference curve, right? So I'm going to mark it over here, indifference curve for A1, indifference curve for A2, indifference curve for A3 and indifference curve for A4. Now you all would know that these indifference curves are in a certain principle that higher the indifference curve, higher is going to be the amount of satisfaction, right? Now let us look at these curves from this perspective. I'm going to also contract these curves so that I can draw more lines. and let us say this is your indifference curve A4. Now I'm going to draw the indifference curves for the second individual B. Now individual B's graph is going to be 180-degree rotated. It is going to be similar, but it is going to be rotated at 180 degrees. Okay, so over here I'm going to write down that it is consuming some sandwiches, okay, and some burgers, right? This is point O and this is for A. Now next we have the x-axis of B and the y-axis of B, right? I'm going to darken this a little bit so that it is easier to understand. This is B and B over here, right? So the blue graph that we have made is for individual B. Now we also have to make the individual B's indifference curves. Obviously they are going to be inverse. Why inverse? Because we have rotated the graph. Okay, originally they were something like this, but as we have rotated this to 180 degrees, they look something like this, right? So let us make some hypothetical indifference curves for the choices between burgers and sandwiches for individual B. Let us say this is the first, and then we have the second, and then we have, let's say, the third, and then we have the fourth, and then we have the fifth, right? Now over here we have indifference curve for B1, indifference curve for B2, 3, this is, I'm going to make this again a bit. So this is 4, B4, and indifference curve for B5. Now you all know that the higher the indifference curve, higher is going to be the satisfaction level. Now amongst this collaboration between or coincidence between individual A and B's indifference curves, how do you think can we find out the best, most utility position to consume sandwiches and burgers in this type of an economy? So we are first of all going to find out the points of intersections. Okay, so we have a certain point of intersection over here and over here and over here and here and even here. Okay, now these are the various points of intersection, right? Now we have to find out that kind of point of intersection where both the individuals are going to be satisfied the most, right? So we have to find out A's and B's intersection point. Now we have over here this intersection point, let us name it point number A, B, C, and let's say this is D, right? Now point number A, we see that indifference curve A1, that is the first indifference curve of A, and indifference curve 5 for B, which means the last or highest indifference curve for B are coinciding with each other. So this is a point wherein they are not just coinciding but they are tangent, right? So they actually show a certain amount of tangency in the when we say that they are coinciding with each other. So which is why this is one of the efficient Pareto points, right? Then there's a point B. Over here in point B we have IA2 and IB4. Now if you would have to ask whether we should choose point A or point B, because both of them are tangential, both of them are tangentially coinciding with each other. So you would want to prefer point B over point A. Why? you would say that, okay, this is the highest point for individual B for satisfaction, but it is also the lowest point for individual A's satisfaction. So this is not a very socially optimal point. So we can easily shift to point D, which is also an efficient point. Point of efficiency means when two indifference curves of two individuals are tangential to each other. Okay. Again, we have point number C. Over here also there's a certain amount of tangency, which we can see over here, right? And then we have point number D. Now over here, point number D, indifference curve A4 and indifference curve B2 are not tangential, but they are coinciding or intersecting with each other. Now, first of all, there's a very important principle that indifference curves should not intersect each other, because they falsify all the other principles of indifference curves, and most of all it falsifies the very important principle that higher the indifference curve, higher the satisfaction, right? Also, if you move from this point anywhere on the curve, then probably, if let's say this is the point, okay, if for example, if you, because individual A is indifferent within all the points that are there in indifference curve A4, so if it moves from point D to let's say point E, then individual A is definitely going to be better off, but individual B is going to be worse off, because it is going from B2 to B1, which is not a good condition for Pareto optimality. Pareto optimality says that position when even if someone is better off, but no one should be worse off. No one's position should deteriorate. So which is why we cannot select point number D, right? So we have three positions over here, all are Pareto efficient, and this is the basic usage of the Edgeworth box diagram. There's also a very interesting way in which we can showcase these various tangential positions in an Edgeworth box diagram by making an contract curve. So what is the contract curve? I'm going to write over here. Contract curve. So contract curve is basically the locus to all the points of tangency which are showcasing the Pareto efficiency. So if I join from point O, I'll adjoin these points. However, after C, I cannot find any point of tangency. So after that, I'm just going to go to origin. Now, I have made only 5 and 4 respectively indifference curves for each of the individual, but there can be numerous combinations of two goods which can give equal amount of satisfaction to various individuals, and which is why in realistic point of view, these can be plenty of indifference curves. So while practicing, you can actually make more than 5, you can make 10 indifference curves, and you can look at how many points of tangency can you find out to replicate the contract curve. So contract curve over here is the dotted line that we have made. This is the contract curve, which is joining all the positions of tangency, which means all the positions of efficiency. So this is what is the Edgeworth box diagram. Thank you so much for listening to this video. If you like this video, then give a big thumbs up to this video. Also, do not forget to subscribe our channel Ecoholics, and wait for more such videos with regards to concepts. For more such information, do click on the link below in the description. Thank you so much and have a great day.